As you guys are logging in, go ahead and post where you're from, city, state. Love to get to know all of you and see the ones that I do know, and encouraged by the new people that are coming on board to watch this and to be a part of this free storytelling workshop. We're going to walk you through the hero's journey, some archetypes, and some plot crafting themes that are very common. And this will help you with your storytelling ability and your writing endeavors. So just as you log in, go ahead and post and comment where you're from, city and state. And Jill is over here.
Popping in for the moment. And goodbye. I am here, but I'm looking at comments. So hello to Rob Shield, to Joella, to Alyssa, to Darlene from San Marcos, Texas.
Come on, welcome.
Thank you for joining us today. Charlene is from La Mesa. Jessica from San Diego. Welcome, you guys.
I'm just going to wait a minute while people are logging in. Welcome, everybody. My name is Brae Wyckoff. I'm the director of Kingdom Writers Association, and it's very glad to have you guys here. I'm going to be talking about storytelling, which is near and dear to my heart. I am going to get this onto announcements so people can see that at the very top of the page.
Good morning to Matthew as well, and to Darlene. Hi.
Hi guys, welcome. Just as you log in, go ahead and post your city and state where you're logging in from. Love to see where you guys are at around the states, the world, locally. Where are you at? We're going to be talking about storytelling this morning. Got a great workshop for you. It's just going to be a lot of information, and this will help you guys navigate the art of storytelling.
We have Texas, Oregon, California in the house, and yeah, good morning to Kelly as well. Just joined us, and Stephen.
Good morning, guys. As you log in, just put your city and state. Jill's over here to my right, catching all the comments, and she'll help me navigate this workshop this morning like we've done in the past. This is a free workshop. We have several other workshops on our website, kingdomwritersassociation.com. Help you the ins and outs of self-publishing, step-by-step. Publishing with KDP, which is Amazon, how to build your author platform and some marketing tips, and then a children's book writing workshop. So we have 4 workshops on our website. And as a KWA member, you get 50% off the workshops. So very valuable workshops, and this one is a free one that we're doing, and this is all about storytelling. We're going to go through the hero's journey. There's 12 stages to the hero's journey. Then we're going to do 7 archetypes, and then the 7 plot crafting storytelling, and it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. So where are we at? 9:04. Let's get started.
Welcome, by the way, to Donna and Ben as well.
Hi, Donna. Hi, Ben. Is that Ben from?
It is.
From Malaysia?
It is.
What's up, Ben?
Malaysia in the
All
house.
right. We just went international, everybody. So good to have you guys. So my name is Brae Wyckoff again. I'm the director of Kingdom Writers Association. For those that don't know me, we started Kingdom Writers Association back in 2016. We now are approaching 175 members or so. And then, of course, we reach hundreds of people outside of our membership through our Facebook page here and our email list, our website. But then we have members, and really the members reap the most benefits. This is the place where you want to go if where you say writing needs to not become a hobby. And so at KWA, writing is not a hobby. And if God didn't write his book as a hobby, then neither should we, is the quote I've put out there from our Kingdom Writers devotional. So we need to treat our work as our job, as our assignment in life. So we're going to go through storytelling, the art of storytelling, and where it comes from, and why we do it. And so there's this great study called The Hero's Journey. And I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys. And as soon as I get over here, and we're going to get over here and present. And there we go. Okay, so this is The Hero's Journey. This was, according to folklorists and other narrative scholars, the hero's journey forms the basic template for all great stories. Described at length in Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces, the hero's journey serves as the tale every culture tells. That's a big statement. So Joseph Campbell wrote the book The Hero with a Thousand Faces. It was first published in 1949. So it is an older book. But the theory is the theory of the mythological structure of the journey the hero found in world myths. So Joseph Campbell started seeing a pattern in his time with world myths. And so he developed the hero's journey by studying classics such as Osiris, Prometheus, Buddha, Moses, and Jesus, and Muhammad. He studied all these different cultures, and this is just a few of what he studied. And he came out with, wow, everybody is kind of telling, there's this structure with storytelling, and he labeled it the hero's journey, or it's a monomyth is what it's labeled, and now today it's more called the hero's journey. So The Hero with a Thousand Faces is the book that he wrote to describe in very detailed and length this hero's journey that we're going to go through. I want to tell you guys, here's a quote to help you guys understand exactly from the book what this is going to entail. A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from his mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. That is the crux of the hero's journey. And you're going to see George Lucas and Star Wars acknowledged using this method, this process of storytelling, and it's such a big deal that they actually did another revision of the book, and in the cover they put Luke Skywalker on there. So it was kind of a big deal when George Lucas came out and said, this is a model that I followed when telling Star Wars. So very interesting. What I want to tell you guys right now off the bat is I want you guys to relax. I want you guys to understand that storytelling is inert. It is inside of us as storytellers. What happened was Joseph Campbell found and discovered something that's already built inside of us. This study did not launch all of these other books and all these other studies or all these other stories. It's Joseph Campbell discovered what was already there. So I want to put you guys at ease that the storytelling ability is inside each one of you, and that this is a great resource to help us understand flow, understand the ability and the craft of storytelling, but by no means should it change you away from your natural storytelling ability. You can use this to help identify your craft, help you identify holes in your storytelling, help you identify areas where you can strengthen and make better. But understand that inside you, you have what it takes to be a storyteller. So I want to put you at ease, because a lot of times I've bumped into a lot of people, I've counseled a lot of people, I've coached a lot of people, that get frustrated with storytelling, and they want to know how to be a storyteller. And they'll read something like A Hero with a Thousand Faces, or they'll try to read it because it's very thick, it's very detailed, and it's very dry. Um, and then it frustrates them that I can't be that. And as soon as it deflates them, and then it reduces their ability to be a storyteller and do what they're called to do. So I want to put you guys at ease and just say you're in good hands, you're okay, and you have what it takes. So let's get on with this, guys. Let's have fun. Okay, so you are seeing a picture that I found online that kind of really encapsulates the hero's journey. So you see that right in the middle there. It says the hero's journey. And then there's a line up top through this circle. And up above it says the known. And then right below it says unknown. Known means the known world. The known world, I'm going to go through this, but that's the known world of where the hero starts. And the unknown is the place where they're going to be going. So this is the hero's journey. We're going to go through each one of these steps. There's 12 of them. It's so fascinating. I love this study. I love taking us through this. Mark Stibbe, that's going to be on our next KWA gathering, September 12th. When we went to Oxford in the UK, he walked us through the hero's journey there with our group, and it was fantastic. So this is just a great way to walk through storytelling. So stage one, or phase one of the hero's journey, is called the ordinary world. This is the hero's home, the safe haven from which he must leave and seek to return to. Get to know and identify what the hero's drives, their urges and problems, identify the problem, outer or inner, which disrupts the ordinary world. So what do we mean by the ordinary world? When you're writing, let's say if some of you are writing your memoir, you're going to tell people what your ordinary world was like, right? You're describing what your ordinary world was like to them. And so you're inviting them into what was ordinary for you before you take them down this journey of redemption and bringing them back to where you are now. You're different than when you started in your ordinary world. Examples in movies would be Luke Skywalker as a moisture farmer on Tatooine. That was his ordinary world. That's what we saw, and that was what was shared with us as an audience. That's his ordinary world. It's not ordinary to us because we live here in this world. So if you're describing a real-time story now, you are going to not spend a lot of time in the world, the ordinary world, but you're going to share with us, we understand this time and this place, and this is the ordinary things that are happening around me. Harry Potter, again, we see the ordinary world of him adopted before he gets whisked away into a new world. We've got Neo in the Matrix. His ordinary world is he feels like there's something else out there, but he's in the ordinary world in a cubicle. He's working, he's punching in, punching out, but he knows there's something more. So Frodo in Lord of the Rings, where's his ordinary world? The Shire, the beautiful Shire. It's green, it's luxurious, there's other hobbits around, and they're smoking their pipes, and they're planting. That's their ordinary world before he gets taken off into Middle Earth, into places he never thought he would ever go to. So that's what we're describing here in stage one. We're setting up the scene, and we need to put the people in the story in its context, and by describing the ordinary world the hero is in. If you have questions, you can post them on there. Jill's watching that. She can interject with the questions. There's probably a little delay with the Zoom call to the Facebook, so we can go backwards, but just post your questions and we'll go from there. Stage two, or phase two of the hero's journey, a call to adventure, or the call to adventure. This disrupts the comfort of the hero's ordinary world, often delivered by the herald archetype. People, object, act of nature, may come in different forms: a message, an action, an arrival, etc. So what is that call to adventure, guys? That is like Star Wars, Ben Kenobi inviting Luke Skywalker to become a Jedi and to follow in his father's footsteps. That is a call to adventure. We've got R2-D2 delivering the message from Princess Leia. Again, that's a call to adventure. You know, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Those are calls that are drawing the person, the hero, into something deeper beyond his ordinary world. We got Gandalf, of course, with Frodo. He entrusts the ring, that he hold on to the ring after Bilbo vanishes and leaves the Shire. And then you got, you know, Gandalf saying, hey, Frodo, hold on to this ring. And then also the call to leave the Shire. So these are examples of what it takes to leave or call to adventure. We got a question.
We do, from Corrine. Does the ordinary world always have to go first in fiction?
No, and that's a good point, Karine. That's I want to let you guys know that a lot of storytelling, we think that we have to go by these steps. You can intermingle these steps. You can have, you know, something where a chapter happens in the future, and then you come back to the ordinary world. But the ordinary world has to be established somewhere, because we need to know, and you'll understand this when you're writing your story. We need to know the base. There's got to be a foundation to work from. And whatever that ordinary world is, it could be a supernatural world, but it's ordinary for that character in that place. And they've got to be taken on an adventure and taken deeper into where they're going. So that's a great question, because a lot of times we get hiccup with storytelling that, oh, I gotta do stage 1, build my ordinary world, stage 2, call to adventure, stage 3. I gotta walk through all the stages, when in reality, a lot of stories kind of overlap. They're really close together. They are spread apart, and there's another phase in between. So you're going to see that when you watch movies now. If you pay attention to the hero's journey, you're going to see, oh, well, that's part of this, but also this is the same thing, a call to adventure. Like Star Wars, I just mentioned 2 calls to adventure. One was Obi-Wan calling him to adventure, and then you get R2-D2 calling him to adventure. Those are 2 separate spots, but 2 of the same things happening, but different spots in the movie. So what I mean is, you guys can have your ordinary world later, but keep it close to the beginning, I imagine, because you don't want to get, you know, your ordinary world at the very end, of course. Because when the hero comes back home, we're going to talk about that, is they're coming back to their ordinary world, but they're changed, if that makes sense. So let's go to stage number 3. This is called the refusal of the call. The hero has fears or insecurities. The hero prefers the safe haven of the ordinary world. The refusal demonstrates the risks involved in the journey, and each call and refusal escalates the stakes until the hero has no choice but to accept. So the refusal of the call. Here's something that I'm talking about that could happen throughout your story. Frodo, for example, constantly is trying to give away the ring when he knows he is the bearer of the ring. He was the fellowship of the ring. He didn't want to do that, but he chose to do it because there was no one else to do it. But he constantly is trying to give it away. He tries to give it away to Gandalf. He tries to give it away to Galadriel. He tries to give it away. So that's a refusal for the call in his life, to be the bearer of the ring. So you see that throughout. So through your storytelling, you can have this refusal to call early, middle, and late. It's something that can really haunt your hero and saying they're just not good enough, and you're challenging your hero. It's also us when you're talking about your memoirs. You're going to have your refusals to answer your call in life, refusals to change, refusals to see the truth of the reality of the situation. Um, and then you've got Luke Skywalker, that where Ben invites him to become a Jedi like his father, and he's like, I can't leave. You know, I've got things to do here. I've got my uncle and Aunt Beru, and you know, they need me. So there's always some way to find a way to get around it and not go. So this is a couple examples of the refusal of the call. Stage 4, guys, is called the meeting the mentor. How many stories? Every story out there has a mentor. The mentor provides confidence, insight, advice, training, or magical gifts. The mentor may not be a person. It could be an object or an inner force, such as a code. What do I mean by a mentor with not being an object? Take, for instance, Terminator 2. Where the Terminator becomes the mentor for the little boy of John Connor. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character becomes a mentor in that movie. So that's an inanimate object that now becomes a mentor. What other mentors out there do we have in movies? There's a slew of mentors. You know, we got Gandalf to Frodo. We got Ben, Obi-Wan Kenobi to Luke Skywalker. Now, here's an interesting thing, and I'll tell you this. A mentor can be multiple mentors in your storytelling. Ben was a mentor for Luke Skywalker. Who else was a mentor for Luke Skywalker? Yoda. That's a second mentor for him. And then there's others. We have Neo in the Matrix with Morpheus. Morpheus is his mentor. God, we have so many. We've got Professor X and the X-Men. We got Aslan and the Children. We got the genie in the lamp is the mentor for who? Aladdin. Daniel LaRusso. Anyone a fan of Karate Kid would know that Mr. Miyagi is his mentor, and he wins at the end by his mentor's leadership. How about in the Bible? Paul is a mentor to Timothy, or Joshua is to Moses, or had Moses, right? Moses was his mentor. So who is your mentor if you're writing your memoirs? The mentors that mentored you through your journey, your heroic journey in life. Should be pretty self-explanatory when they start popping out, but if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. Okay, number 5. Remember, this is a 12-stage process, or 12 phases. And remember, they don't have to be in order. You can kind of cross them over and mix them up a little bit. And remember, this will be naturally done through your storytelling, what the story that you're trying to get across. Crossing the threshold signifies that the hero is finally committed to the journey. The threshold separates the ordinary world from the special world. There is no turning back. Prime example of this is the Matrix with Neo and Morpheus, and he takes the 2 pills, the red and the blue, and he says, you decide, Neo, which one to take. If you take the red pill, you're going to go down a rabbit hole and find the truth. And if you take the blue pill, you're going to stay in your comfortable, ordinary world and never know the truth. And you're going to live in a lie. So what did he choose? He chose the red pill, forever changed him. There's no turning back. And if anyone's seen The Matrix, you understand what I'm talking about. Great symbology with this crossing the threshold. Luke Skywalker accepts his fate after his uncle and aunt are killed. And Obi-Wan says, you know, come with me. And he's like, there's nothing left for me here. So yes, I need to go with you. And he crosses the threshold, where he takes him into Mos Eisley, where there's nothing but scum and villainy. And that's when he meets the friends of Han Solo and Chewbacca. We've got Frodo crosses out of the Shire with Samwise, with his best friend Samwise Gamgee. And Samwise says, he stops right in the middle of the cornfield. And what does he say? He says, Frodo, one more step and it will be the farthest from home I'll have ever been. So that is the crossing of the threshold. And these are the things that are going to happen with your storytelling. It's just going to naturally happen, guys. You can see how it naturally progresses. Of course, in any story, we want to go to the place that's unknown and uncomfortable for the hero, because that's an uncomfortableness for all of us. You know, how many of us stay in our ordinary world? We stay in our homes. This is our kingdom. This is our castle. This is our ordinary world. And some of us have a fear of getting out into the world, traveling, going, into the across the United States even, or even to the next state. Some of us have a fear. But if you break that fear, if you go to that level and you finally go across further than you've ever been, you've crossed the threshold and you're in new territory that you've never been before. So that happens in real life, and it happens in our storytelling. All right. Stage 6, or phase 6, tests, allies, and enemies. Probably, I think, one of the most important parts of the story is this: the tests, the allies, or your friends, and your enemies. The hero learns the rules of the special world. The hero must learn who can be trusted. The hero needs this stage to test his skills and powers. This is the place where the hero is naive and gets burned by the world, by this new world. This is where the hero is trying to learn the ropes, has never been here before, was comfortable in their ordinary world, and now is very uncomfortable in this world. This is the place where they're tested. This is the place where they find out who their true friends are and who their enemies are. And this is where we see huge character development, and also some pain as they go through this time of testing. In our regular life, we are constantly tested, guys. And how do we learn but by testing? And this is where we find our relationships, and this is where we were hurt by relationships. Luke was tested throughout the movies, and you can see these tests are going to happen throughout in your storytelling as well. He was tested with the Force. He was tested with his own destiny. He bumped into his allies, which is Han Solo, Chewbacca, Leia. He was challenged with the Death Star and the Imperials and the big scope of things when he was a moisture farmer on Tatooine, and now he's here in a galaxy filled with tests, and he doesn't know what to do. Yep.
Lynn wants to know, would this include temptations to go to the ordinary world again, to go back to the ordinary world again?
Yeah, you can totally use that. That's and that can. Some of these things will cross over, right? Because then you have the refusal. The refusal to the call would be also trying to pull them back into the ordinary world. But it's also a test for them to push forward. Prime example of this is Frodo, constantly trying to refuse his destiny and get back. All he wants to do is go back to the Shire and let everything be what it was before. He wants out of this mess and this nightmare. But these are also the tests for him at the same time to persevere through the longing to go back to the normal and to push through. And it made him better. It made him stronger. And so, yes, exactly. This is what I'm talking about, where things are going to overlay, and they're going to be very close and similar to one another in some aspects. It'll just naturally occur. Frodo, with his tests, was with the ring wraith, right? When that first ring wraith showed up, and all of them are hiding under the tree and the bugs, and there's just this supernatural feeling of despair. and they're outside the Shire. That was a test for them. When he meets Aragorn at the prancing pony, when he's mortally wounded, Frodo's mortally wounded by one of the ring wraiths. That was a test. The Fellowship of the Ring, when he's at the elves and develops in Rivendell, and that was a test for him to step forward and saying, "I'll do it. I'll take the ring." So these are huge, huge things, and these are tests. But these tests will be throughout. You'll have allies or friends and relationships throughout, and you'll have enemies throughout. Number 7, approach to the abyss. Sounds very ominous. It is. The abyss leads to the journey's heart or central ordeal. The hero has survived his descent into the special world, and the hero often takes a respite before facing the ordeal. Right? So Frodo, this is approach to the abyss. You can say there's several spots of this throughout the movies when he's battling the large spider. So there's a respite beforehand, but then there's the central ordeals to get that part before the main ending part. Even with Rivendell, when he's taking on the ring, there's a respite there where there's rest, but then it's launching him into this approach to the abyss. I mean, how many of us want to take the ring to Mordor? It just seems impossible. So even then, I would say fiction writers, a warning to you: be careful to not lull the reader to sleep when you move into a respite before facing the ordeal. Sometimes we can get too much into the respite with a rest for the heroes, and it just stops your storytelling. So move it quickly, and keep it fast-paced. We love fast-paced books. When we're reading, we love fast-paced movies. The ordeal, the central ordeal, is the painful or horrific experience. This is something that's going to be extremely severe, and very testing of the hero.
Stephen has a question. How about the enemies who become allies and vice versa?
Yeah, so that is part of your testing, allies and enemies. Yes, how many times have we seen the enemy is so bad and then they're redeemed and then they become the best ally for the hero. I love that. There's such a flip of the script, and yeah, go with that. And then how many times have we seen the heroes and the friends, and all of a sudden there's a split and they become enemies? We see that with X-Men, Xavier and Magneto. They were friends, and then there's a split, and now they're enemies because of their beliefs. Powerful, powerful imagery and storytelling. And so, yes, 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 I love it. Do that, Stephen. Move forward with your storytelling. Brilliant. Frodo, approach to the abyss would be another one who's going through the mountain, the mines of Moria, where Gandalf warns we should, and Gimli says we shouldn't go through this way. There's just a strong warning. How about Gollum and the dangers of the ring? Him wearing the ring for so long, it turned him into something he was never meant to be. And then you got Luke with the Imperials and the Rebels and Alderaan destroyed, and the Death Star. So these are all approach to the abyss type facets of your story. Number 8 is the ordeal that we're going to be talking about, the revelation and the actual abyss. So the central life or death crisis or crises. The hero faces his greatest fear, experiences death perhaps, and only through death can the hero be reborn. The resurrection grants greater powers or insight. This is like the epic battle, the greatest enemy. This is Luke, the death of Obi-Wan, and the fear of being alone. So this is a death experience through his mentor, and now he fears being alone. Frodo, the burden of the ring. And then you've got when they go through the mines of Moria, you got the orcs chasing them down. There's just death is looming before them. And then the ultimate scene with the Balrog and Gandalf, you shall not pass. And Gandalf dying, supposedly in their eyes, he fell into the abyss. That's a death type experience for the hero, and he faces his greatest fear of now being alone. You lose your mentor, you lose your lifeline, and it's now all on your shoulders. And that's a huge ordeal, as we say, the ordeal, the revelation, the truth of behind your story of like, wow, it's all on me now. But that doesn't mean that new mentors aren't introduced, or new friends or allies or new enemies aren't there. Sometimes you can have multiple enemies, an enemy that wants to battle your same enemy. So you can introduce all of these different characters through your storytelling. Again, they overlap, they interconnect, they're smoothed out. It's not really defined. Some storytelling, it's difficult to see where these different stages come into play, or they represent 2 different or 3 different stages of the same story. So this is just a fantastic spot to really test, and we're going back to testing your character, and having them experience death for them to be reborn. Stage 9 is the reward. Having survived death, the hero receives what he sought. It comes in many forms: a magical sword, an elixir, knowledge, reconciliation. This allows the hero to replenish himself and the audience to catch its breath. This is where the impossible becomes possible. We see when it comes in many forms. One of the other forms it could come in is forgiveness. If you're telling your memoir, there's some type of forgiveness can be introduced there. Frodo with the elves of Galadriel is a great example of a reward time. They fought all the orcs, and then the elves rescued them, and then Galadriel, they're in the elven city area. It's very beautiful, it's lovely, it's pristine, but there's still a mysteriousness behind the scenes. We know that there's evil still lurking close. This is also where Frodo wants to do a refusal of his call and tries to give the ring to Galadriel. So you can see it's overlapping. It's in multiple areas. This is a reward section, but also a refusal for the call, and then also a test for Frodo. There's a knowledge that he needs to complete the quest after Galadriel refuses the ring, and it was really difficult for her to refuse the ring. But this is where Frodo realizes, wow, I need to do this on my own. I'm putting everybody in jeopardy. And this is when he takes on the ownership of his call and takes off alone. And then Samwise joins him and refuses for it to leave him. Luke saves Leia in the Death Star, and and then there's a reward part to that. And now he realizes he's part of something bigger. When they return back home to the Yavin base, and there's everyone, screaming and yelling, and Leia is saved. And that's a great time. There's a sense of reward for finding and rescuing a princess in an impossible situation. And now with the rebels to unite. So there's a real little reprieve there, a little time of rest and replenish, catch our breath before we go into the final battle.
An observation, Lynn says, if I catch my breath in a story too many times, I get frustrated and don't trust the story anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it, but sometimes it's necessary. It just comes natural. So yeah, you don't want to overdo catching your breath.
And then Stephen asks, can the reward also include winning over a prominent enemy as well?
Of course, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great reward, right? And that comes with, reconciliation as part of that, right? It comes in many forms. So I said magical sword and elixir, knowledge, reconciliation, right? That would be reconciling with the enemy. So perfect. Stage 10 or focus or phase 10 would be the road back. The hero must accept the road back to the ordinary world. Like crossing the threshold, the hero needs an event that will push him back, a force to chase him out of the special world. This is, to save somebody, classic, somebody's back in the ordinary world sick, and the hero needed to go and find the magical elixir and bring it back to the ordinary world to save that person. That's the classic terminology behind the road back. It gives him a reason to go back. Frodo accepts his fate, and then he's rescued by the eagles, and the eagles bring him back home, and he accepts his fate. Can you close that window?
Yep.
And then, so that's the classic crux of the road back. The hero must accept it and get back to the ordinary world. Sometimes your hero wants to stay in the the unknown world and not go back to the ordinary world. That's okay, but you could still have the lure of the ordinary world calling him back without him ever going back. You can still have that message in your storytelling. There's many different ways to get the message across. And again, I want to tell you guys, let's go. This is going to happen naturally with you. Don't try to force feed all of these different stages into your storytelling. They're just going to come out naturally as you progress.
Stephen says, can the hero be tricked into the road back? And then Corrine followed up with, or bringing something back.
Yeah. You mean bringing something bad back, or bringing something back to help the ordinary world? You can explain that, Corrine. And then Stephen, what was Stephen's?
Can the hero be tricked into the road back?
Can the hero be tricked? Yeah, of course. We'll get into the archetypes. You got the tricksters out there. So of course, all of these things can trick them. Look at the Matrix. The one person in there that wanted to go back to the ordinary world and made a deal and backstabbed everybody to get back into the fake world. So yeah, there's different ways to correlate the two and to bring that message of going back home, the road back.
Oh, Darlene wants clarification on who Frodo is.
Frodo is the main hobbit for Lord of the Rings. And if you haven't watched those movies, they're great storytelling. Jill watched them for her first time, but she thought there was a lot of fighting in it. And there's a lot of fighting in it.
Okay, so to clarify on Corrine's, she was talking about an idea or solution back, bring that back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's part of the reward. There might be an elixir or something that they need to bring back, or some type of knowledge that needs to come back to the ordinary world because they need that.
Also, Lynn says maybe the road back to the ordinary world is to rescue others, but not for rest. Is that right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, the ordinary world. There's got to be usually a reason that brings the hero back, and it doesn't mean that there has to be rest involved, but it could be more conflict even through the ordinary world when you get back there. So it just depends on your story and how you're trying to map that out for the readers. I'm using a lot of the movies of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings throughout this. These are the most blatant stories that really enhance the hero's journey for each one of those. So if you haven't seen Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, I apologize, but I'm trying to give you some other examples of that storytelling abilities. So this is stage 11. or phase 11, called the resurrection. The hero's most dangerous meeting with death, a cleansing or purification that must occur. The hero is reborn or transformed. It may be a physical ordeal with the entire world at stake. Must prove he has reached the heroic status and accept his sacrifice for the benefit of the ordinary world. So the hero can achieve this through someone else's sacrifice, reflection to take with them. So we got the Matrix, would be the final scene with Neo being killed by the agents, Mr. Smith, and all the bullets, and then he gets back up, he's resurrected, he realizes he is the one, and then the agents are shocked, how is this possible? And then Neo stops all the bullets that they fire at him. So that's a great scene of the resurrection. Marriage, we got friends knighted, and the marriage and Lord of the Rings. So that's a great scene of resurrection. Everyone's coming back after the hero's most dangerous meeting with death. So this was kind of the after part with Gollum and the ring being destroyed in Lord of the Rings. We've got Star Wars, of course, with the main battle with the Death Star. We got Luke Skywalker flying into the trench, and you got Ben Kenobi, his old mentor, saying, "Trust me, Luke, use the Force." And he blows up the Death Star, and then he comes back home, and he's achieved that heroic status. He would sacrifice everything to defeat and do what he can to fight the rebels, or fight the Imperials. And then he challenged his friends or his allies, Han Solo, who left with the money, but then they came back and also understood their heroic status.
Well, Stephen, again, can the final battle be included here in stage 11? This is the final battle, correct?
Yeah, so this is, again, remember, things are overlapping, they're not in order. So it's hard when you're teaching the hero's journey, because everything seems very sequential and very order-like. But when you're storytelling, they can overlap, they can blend together, they're very seamless. Sometimes you're skipping over one and going to the other, and then you're coming back to it. So what I'm saying is, don't necessarily follow rigorously every step of the hero's journey, that you have to have this before you get your book completed. Elements of all of these things will naturally be in your story, but sometimes it's nice to have this, because you pull out thoughts of, like, oh yeah, this is what's happening here. This is the resurrection scene. This is the test of the character. This is the mentor. This is the reward. This is the call to adventure. And the call to adventure could be throughout. And if you're leading up to a sequel, you're leading the character, the hero, to another call to adventure beyond, or back into the unknown world. And let's get to the final one here, guys. And that is stage 12. And we will have the return with the elixir. So the final reward: the hero has been resurrected and purified and has earned the right to be accepted back into the ordinary world. The hero shares the elixir of the journey with others, or heals a wounded land. All celebrate the journey's end with revelry or marriage. Harmony and balance are restored to the ordinary world. So examples, we got Lord of the Rings. The ring is destroyed. They return to the Shire, and they can't stay long in the ordinary world, just like Bilbo, right? So here is the crux of this. So we return back to the Shire. It's their final reward. They've always wanted to be home, but now that they're home, they realize they can't stay. It's just not the same anymore. Bilbo did the same. He couldn't stay. He's Bilbo with the original movie, The Hobbit. He had the ring of power and turned him invisible, and now it changed him, and so he left the ring to Frodo, and he had to leave and go on to do other adventures. He couldn't stay in the Shire after what he had experienced. Star Wars, the Death Star is destroyed. They return back. There's a big celebration, medals. Everyone's waving to each other. Everyone's cheering. Um, and he's no longer a moisture farmer. He is now moving forward as a Jedi, like his father before him.
Okay, so I'm going to give you two questions, it's kind of piggybacking, I
Yeah.
think, a bit. Stephen, how about being welcomed to a negative reception? There's nothing left. He was a hated person. And Lynn, so even if the ending isn't happy, can there be this stage somehow? So basically, she's referring to the same thing he is. It's not a happy kind of an ending.
Not a happy ending. Yeah. So then we're going to get into the plot crafting thing. That's what we call a tragedy. You're moving into a tragedy story where the hero is trying to find redemption and they just don't make it. So that's a story a plot of tragedy. And we'll walk through that too in one of the, but yes, you can do that. Why not? It might not be a cup of tea for everyone. How many of us have gone to see a movie and it ends tragically, and then we walk out saying, I just wasted 2 hours of my life?
Resolution is good. Okay, so
Resolution is
I'm
good,
just
yeah.
throwing that in. Angela, can some of these stages happen over an entire series? So not just in one book, the first book, but the full resolution of the story over an entire series?
Yeah, there has to, and it will. All of these aspects will be in every stage. So in Star Wars has 9 movies, but these are in every single movie on its own, also building to the big epic for the whole series. So you'll see it throughout, and you'll build off of each other.
And then Stephen wants to know, can the hero die here as well?
Of course, yeah, we've seen the heroes come back with the reward and die. Right? We've got Excalibur, King Arthur. He wins, but he loses himself too. He vanishes. He dies. We don't know exactly, but there's the reward of not having him with us any longer. So yes, very much so. All right, guys, we are gonna. All right, so this is something I want to go back to. We've got the whole story here. We got the whole ring about this. And I want to, if I can do this, I want to share something else with you. This is the hero's journey in 6 popular movies that I just found. I thought this was very cool. And so it kind of wiggles around. And I'm going to follow what we've been doing with, I'm going to follow Star Wars, since George Lucas claimed that he followed the steps of the hero's journey, or that really influenced him, and how he presented Star Wars and the whole series. So in 1977, we had Star Wars, and this is the ordinary world. Luke Skywalker lives on Moisture Farm on Tatooine. Then we move into the call of adventure. So if you follow this blue line that's swirling around like a snake, we're going to find here the call to adventure is the next stage. R2-D2 gives Luke a message from Princess Leia asking Obi-Wan Kenobi to help her. And then we scroll down, and the blue line goes into the refusal of the call. Luke is reluctant to accept Obi-Wan's offer. Keep following it around. We get to the next stage, passing through the refusal to the meeting with the mentor. Obi-Wan Kenobi gives Luke his father's lightsaber and offers to train Luke to be a Jedi. Right? And then we've got meeting the mentor, crossing the first threshold. Luke accompanies Obi-Wan to Alderaan to deliver the plans for the Death Star to Leia's father. And then they're crossing the threshold, and now we've got tests, allies, and enemies. Han Solo and Chewbacca agree to take Luke and Obi-Wan to Alderaan. All right, and then we go to approach to the innermost cave, or the abyss. The Death Star destroys Alderaan. They invade the Death Star and save Princess Leia. And then here's the ordeal. The group rescues Leia, but Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan Kenobi in the process. And then here's the reward part of this. Luke decides to join the rebels to destroy the Death Star. And then you move this down to Luke into the road back home. Luke refuses Han Solo's offer to leave, choosing to help overcome the Galactic Empire. And then the resurrection, we have Luke remembers Obi-Wan's advice and uses the Force to help him destroy the Death Star. And then we got the return with the elixir. Luke wins a medal and takes his first steps towards becoming a Jedi. So you can see how that doesn't correlate necessarily with individual steps, but you can see the theme through the storytelling, how it weaves through. It's very blended. It's overlapping. It's not very like, I'm here's stage one, here's stage two, here's stage three. You're able to pull those pieces out and identify them. That's what Joseph Campbell did with A Hero Has a Thousand Faces, as he studied myth and all of these mythological stories.
And then when people want to have this particular slide, they're wondering if there's a website they can find it at, or can we post it? Because it's hard to see online.
Okay. Yeah, I will post this one on after we're done here, guys. So let's go back to the presentation. We're going to move into the 7 archetypes. These archetypes describe the function or role the characters play in a story. Think of an archetype as a mask a character wears. So in a story, characters may change masks with other characters from time to time. The following slides list the archetypes that occur most frequently along with their functions. Okay, so we're talking about archetypes for your characters. These are the characters that they play in your story. And think of them as just wearing a mask. So of course, we've got the hero would be the first one, to serve and sacrifice. His or her purpose is to separate and sacrifice self for the service of the journey. He or she does not have to be all good. So we've got anti-heroes, we've got outlaws, we've got loner heroes. He, she grows or learns the most during the journey. This is your main character that you are, focused on through your storytelling. And again, it doesn't have to be the hero. It can be an anti-hero, it can be an outlaw, it can be a loner hero. If anyone's watched the series Dexter, that is an evil person, but he's the hero of that series, of that story. And so he takes on the mask of this evil persona, but there's always someone more evil than he is, and he's trying to do good by killing the evil.
Steve is asking, can the main character change during the story?
Of course. Why can't we want to see heroes change. We want to see the main hero, the main person change. Whether it's good or bad, we want to see him change. If they're the same from beginning to end, boring. If they're the same at the beginning and they only grow a little, boring. We want to see them be tested, and we want to see results through that test, negative or positive. We want to see results. Great stories are the ones that really put the thumb to the hero, and they don't relent, but somehow, some way, miracle, supernatural, whatever it is, they get by and they get through it, where they're successful or not. But we need to be privy and see that happening and be a part of it. The second one is the mentor. And of course, we got Obi-Wan Kenobi as a mentor. We've talked about all the mentors, through the movies we've been talking with. Gandalf's a mentor. Morpheus with Neo is a mentor. So they got these mentors, and they provide motivation, insight, training, guidance. Has traveled the road before. may provide the hero with magical gifts, maybe an inner mentor like a code of honor or justice. So the mentor doesn't have to be living like there. It could be just a code of honor that they're following, or some type of justice system that you've developed that they're following.
Going back to the last one, Stephen had another question. We answered it incorrectly, or we misunderstood his question. He says, it just disappeared. The question disappeared. Oh, here we go. Can it be a different main character in the middle of the story? So the original main character is not there anymore.
Yeah, so you've what I call handing the baton off. So if it's a race, with race, you've got one hero, maybe they die, and that person's handing the baton on to the next one. So yeah, it is possible. So we did the mentor, and now we've got the third one, the Threshold Guardians. These characters from The Princess Bride are classic examples of Threshold Guardians. To test, protects a special world and its secrets from the hero, provides tests which the hero must pass to prove commitment and worth, maybe characters, objects, or forces. So these are Threshold Guardians, right, that the Man in Black had to get through, all three of them. One with skill, with fighting a sword, one with strength, and then one with knowledge. These are guardian type symbology to test the hero as they go through their journey. So these are archetypes that you would have possibly in your story. You don't have to have all of these archetypes in your story. Remember, these are just masks that people are wearing in your story, and they're possible. But a lot of times we see these as the most common in storytelling and what the heroes are going to encounter.
Can the teacher teach through pain and betrayal among other negative experiences?
Say that again.
Can the mentor teach through pain and betrayal among other negative experiences?
Yeah, why not? How many times have we had a mentor even betray the hero? They mentor him to a point, and then they betray him. They're the bad guy at the very end, right? So we can have all of these different things. There's so many so many pieces that we can move around with our storytelling. The Herald is the next, is the fourth archetype. This is Effie from Hunger Games. May the odds forever be in your favor. And she smiles, and she's, wants to try to believe that, but she's just doing her job. But this is the person that, the herald that's bringing in the warning or the challenge. We can see that she's heralding something that's a warning. So issues, challenges, or announces the coming of significant change, often appears at the beginning of the journey. These are the ones that are, bringing the message of doom to the hero, or the circumstance, or the adventure, or setting up the part of the rules of what's going to move forward. So this is the Herald archetype, number 4. Number 5 is the Shapeshifter. Here we got Loki from X-Men. Not X-Men, sorry, from the Marvel Universe. We got Loki with Thor, his brother. And so misleads the hero by hiding a character's intentions and loyalties, presents causes doubts and questions in the hero's mind, creates suspense.
Stephen, can the herald be an item?
Yep. Yes, it can. A herald can be an item. Again, these are just masks for characters. And when I talk about this, guys, characters can come in all different faces, shapes, and forms. Inanimate, animate, to people, to creatures, to land, to codes, to justices. All of these things can be a character to tell your story. So here we got the Shapeshifter, number 5. We got 2 more to go. The Trickster, Cheshire Cat is the ultimate trickster, right? What does a trickster do? They disrupt things. disrupts the status quo, turning the ordinary world into chaos, uses laughter to help the hero see the absurdity of the situation. Often is the hero's sidekick. So you can have the trickster, there's a sidekick, there's also the one that just tricks the hero, but is not a sidekick. So sometimes when these things get thrown out there, does not mean they have to be that, guys. So these rules are meant to be broken as well. I give you permission to break rules. Wherever you're led to go as a storyteller, go down that road. Be a dangerous storyteller. Like, just write dangerously, write on the edge. Get to the point where you want to let it all out there, guys. Don't hold back. Don't give us fluffy writing. Give us deep, concentrated, edgy writing and storytelling. That's what's going to grip us. And you guys really have to go back to what you have read and what you like to read, and how that keeps you going to read the next book if someone wrote a series, and why you stop. What stopped you from finishing a book? Then if that stopped you, don't write that way.
Can a trickster also be the hero?
Sure, why not? The trickster can be, sometimes it starts off with the trickster, and that's part of being the refusal of the call. You see the two, the trickster, the hero deflects with tricking people or being the disruptor, but that's also a refusal of the call of his destiny and what he's called to do.
And from Corinne, should these elements be in a short story too?
Yeah, short stories, any type of storytelling. And you don't have to have all of them. You don't have to have all the elements. Well, I mean, what do we learn from storytelling, guys? We need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But there's also got to be a reason. What is pulling the character? What is pulling that story out of the ordinary world into the unknown world? And what is pulling them back? Or does it end on a cliffhanger? Short stories are cliffhangers, right? Short stories are what I call the breadcrumbs of novels. They represent a nugget, a breadcrumb of something bigger. So the last archetype that I'm going to share with you guys today is called the shadow. To destroy, represents our darkest or rejected desires, symbolizes our greatest fears and phobias, may not be all bad, may be another character, something lurking within the hero that must be accepted or purged. This is something I use a lot with my characters, and that is to haunt my characters with their past. So that's considered a shadow archetype, using their past against them, that they reminds them of something that they did, a consequence of their choice, all these different things.
Can the shadow be used by the hero to their advantage? And can the hero also be the shadow? Stephen wants to know.
Yeah, Stephen, you got a lot of great questions, and yes to all of that. Can the shadow be the hero as well? Yeah. So that's something where we talked about, even with when I was talking about Dexter. He's a dark shadow, but he's also the hero of that show. So yeah, you can have, if you're in a world of demons, who's your heroic demon in that world of demons? So he's dark, but who's darker? You know what I mean? So you're whatever the realm that you're writing in, as a fiction writer. My only suggestion to everybody as you're writing stories is that you try to have a redemptive quality. If there's really no chance of redemption, or it's just ugly and just it's just always in the dark, and there's no breakthrough, there's no resurrection value to it, there's no true heroic feel to it, or hopelessness, then it's not going to do well in the storytelling world as far as sellability. Or you'll sell it and no one will also want to read any of your work again because you've let them down. I always look at myself personally as I'm reading stuff. I don't want to be let down when I'm reading a story. I want to be built up. I want to receive something as a reader. I want to, have hope, even though there's so much hopelessness in a book. And I want to have, is it possible? Could they make it through this? When you watch Lord of the Rings from beginning to end or read the books, it's like, man, it just seems impossible. But there's little breaks throughout. There's little nuggets of hope. And I love how J.R. Tolkien really sprinkled that throughout his storytelling, brought in the hope in the darkest of dark, where there seemed to be no hope. So bring that hope in there, guys. We need to be storytellers that bring in hope, that have a message of hope somewhere, just a seed, a mustard seed of hope. Put it in there, and let it shine bright in the darkness that you're writing about. All right, guys, I'm going to go into the final 7 basic plots for today's workshop. We're at 10:10, so we will finish up in a few more minutes.
Lynn is asking about the shadow. Can it just be the memories that haunt the hero?
Oh yeah, memories are great. That's like using their past against them. So that's exactly right. And I use that quite often. Demons and Thieves, I used it with Gestas and Dismas, with the 2 thieves and the 2 demon-possessed men. I use those memories to haunt them throughout the entire book. And they're great shadow characters. They're memories. Fantastic way. And all right, guys, the 7 basic plots are, and this is fun. Let's go over this. Overcoming the monster. And we're going to use the movie Jaws. So it starts here. It's peace and calm, right? Amity Island is a peaceful, beautiful summer vacation spot where people are swimming in the ocean. And then there's a sudden conflict. What happens? The remains of a woman are found on a beach. A shark killed her. And then the hero travels far. The police chief and his 2 colleagues, Quint and Hooper, travel to sea. And then they resolve the conflict. The 3 heroes kill the shark by blowing up a scuba tank. And then there's a happy ending. Peace and calm is restored to Amity Island. Nobody goes in the water for several months because of the trauma, but it's a happy ending. The shark is destroyed. So this is a plot of overcoming the monster. Monster, peaceful area. Monster comes in, causes chaos. Heroes arise. They defeat the monster, and they restore happiness and order back to that normal area. So that's overcoming the monster plot. Number 2, rags to riches. This is a fun one, guys. We all know the story of Aladdin. So tough times for Aladdin, right? Aladdin is a homeless but generous street rat who aspires for more in life. And then an opportunity out of the ordinary arises for Aladdin. Aladdin meets a magical genie after being kidnapped by Jafar. And then hero or heroes overcome adversity. Aladdin uses the genie to destroy Jafar and marry Princess Jasmine, and then they live happily ever after. Aladdin and Jasmine restore peace to the kingdom. So this is your rags. So we got a street rat to a prince that marries the princess. Rags to riches, plot craft, and this is number 2. Number 3 is the quest plot, and we have Lord of the Rings. The call is heard. Frodo discovers he must destroy the Ring of Power to stop Sauron. A hero or heroes set out on a journey with the Fellowship. Frodo embarks on a journey through Middle-earth and encounters trouble all throughout. Pursued by ringwraiths and orcs, Frodo struggles to Mount Doom. And then he completes the mission. Frodo reaches Mount Doom and destroys the ring. And then peace is restored to the land. and restored to Middle Earth. And that is the quest plot.
Ron wants to know, would it be a great idea to outline your plot before writing your book or screenplay?
Yeah, many people do that. I've done that. It's a great way to keep you on course. So you can take like this, if you know it's a quest type plot, look at what, Lord of the Rings did. You can see the plot points here, and then you can kind of develop your story around that and then fill in the gaps and then kind of keep building, storyboard it out. This is kind of a storyboard, a very simplistic one. You can write in your chapters. I've done it where I've had a spreadsheet and had my chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and I kind of explain a little bit of what I want to accomplish in each one of those chapters. And then when I'm writing, guys, let it be fluid. Let it be fluid, your outline. And I say this because as you're writing, your characters are going to dictate different places that you wanted to go, and you'll get there, but probably in a different way than you thought originally. So let your story be fluid and adaptable. You have the end game. You know where you want to go with it. Sometimes you just don't know how to get there. So that's the storytelling ability of getting there and getting your characters. Let your characters drive the ship, guys. Once you develop your characters, have them take you on that ride, and everybody else that's reading your book will go with you. Number 4 is the voyage and return plot. So this is the Wizard of Oz would be the prime example of your voyage and return. Travel to another distorted world. Dorothy and her dog Toto end up in the magical land of Oz after getting caught in a tornado. Then they feel threatened, they're trapped and overwhelmed. With friends, they travel to Emerald City, hoping for aid from the great and powerful Wizard of Oz. Then there's a sudden return with new perspective of life. Dorothy and Toto encounter trouble in the land of Oz, but Glinda helps them return home. And then initial circumstances improve. Dorothy realizes that there's no place like home. So there's the voyage and the return home, where she started in the ordinary world and she so desperately wanted to get back to the ordinary world. So this is the voyage and return plot. Number 5, comedy, one of my favorites. I haven't written a comedy book yet, but I love to introduce comedy throughout my books, just kind of break things up, make it fun and funny. But this is a plot that's just solid funny. If you ever seen the movie Dumb and Dumber, this is where this goes off of. So normalcy, Harry and Lloyd are unintelligent, regular Joes living in Rhode Island. So that's their normal world. They're unintelligent, regular Joes. And what's the conflict? Lloyd falls for Mary. And after retrieving her briefcase, he persuades Harry to join him on an adventure to return the briefcase to Mary. And then there's a failure to overcome conflict perpetuated by self-delusion. Harry and Lloyd travel to Aspen to return the briefcase. They are unknowingly caught in a family feud, and then they return to normalcy. Characters are no better off. Harry and Lloyd escape the kerfuffle, but once again live a painfully normal life.
Kelly's asking if these slides can be posted on the members page. Or if maybe we could email them to her, or
yeah, maybe I can, those that want to get a copy of this slideshow, I can actually probably make a PDF of this. I know I can, and email you. So you can email me at braewyckoff@gmail.com and request it. And if you don't request it, then I won't send it to you. So you got to request it, braewyckoff@gmail.com. And I will send this over to you guys. Make a PDF. Number 6 is tragedy. This is a tragedy plot. It's not one of my favorites, but it is a plot. Requiem of a Dream. Horrible movie. Don't waste your time. It was done in 2000. It's a psychological drama, and the book was written in 1978. But tragedy, you got the protagonist is tempted into an irrational behavior Harry Goldfarb is a heroin addict struggling to find success in his life, experiences unsustainable success. Harry, Sarah, Marion, and Tyrone aspire to succeed in life. Alas, drugs and violence lead to their demise. Fails to fully achieve his goals. Harry gets caught up in drug-related violence. Selling and obtaining drugs becomes harder, and then it's just a downward spiral. Harry lands in prison where his arm is amputated, and that's how it ends. So it's just a tragedy, and it doesn't end on a high note. And these are kind of, I don't know, this plot's not really fun for me. But I love to use tragedy and these types of plots within the story, but then there's also redemption. So you can kind of take pieces and elements of all of these different plots and add them into your story. You can meld them together. These again are just key points to point out of the hero's journey, the archetypes, and the plots. And the final one is the rebirth plot. Groundhog Day is a comedy, but it's also a rebirth plot. A dark spell on the protagonist. So dark spell is cast on Phil Connors. He's a downer TV weatherman from a local station who gets caught in a time loop. And so there's a physical, spiritual, metaphoric prison he's caught in. He succumbs to a hedonistic lifestyle and attempts suicide multiple times. And then there's an intervention breaks the dark spell. Phil realizes his values are appalling. He falls in love with Rita and escapes the time loop. And then the protagonist lives happily ever after. Rita and Phil are together forever, happily ever after. So that's your rebirth plot, and also told in a comedy story. So there's a comedy plot to it, but it's also a rebirth. So you can see how they meld together, and it's a great example to cross over and bring those two to life.
Just a question going back to the tragedy. Lynn wants to know what draws audiences to tragedy.
It's the same dark and twisted people out there that just can't stop looking at a train wreck that's going to happen, or they want to see death. Those are the people that live in tragedy, and those are the ones that are without hope. Those are the ones that don't like happy endings. Those are the ones that rebel against society. Those are the ones that live in darkness. Those are the ones that you probably are not friends with.
I think I'm going to interject for a second. Tragedy within the story,
yes,
not as the whole of the story, draws people because it's like, I live that life. I can relate to that tragedy. It's the human element, right?
Yes.
But so within the story, it's very powerful. But as the
whole story is a whole story of being tragedy, it's just horrific. And what I'm telling you is those that want to see just tragedy are what I described. But I'll say it again, bring tragedy and darkness and all those things into your storytelling, because we relate with that. We want to see our heroes tested or the story tested. We want to hear that and see that, because it relates to my darkness. Everyone's got darkness. Everyone's got through tragedies that they've gone through. So we want to read a story, and I'm going to go, as I'm reading, I'm like, wow, it reminds me of my tragedies that I've gone through. But is this one going to bring hope? Is this one going to, I didn't have hope, but now are you going to bring me hope? These are the questions readers are going to have as they're going through your story.
And that's kingdom right there.
That is kingdom.
Hope is kingdom. Okay, so Corinne wants to know, can two of these intermix as one?
Yeah, so a prime example was the last one I just said, rebirth and comedy. So those two go together. Like, this is a Groundhog Day is a comedy movie, but it's also a rebirth plot in there. So you've got two plots in there. So yes, you can have these overlapping. You can have elements of each one of these, the voyage and return, the quest, rags to riches, overcoming the monster. All of these things, these plot points, can be included in your story. in one story. So yes, what we're doing is I'm just pulling out what it looks like just to have a story about rebirth, just to have a story about rags to riches, just to have a story about the quest. But all of these elements as a storyteller are yours for the taking. Be dangerous storytellers. Take these elements, run with them. They're here. This is here to ignite you and to light you up with your storytelling ability, and you have full permission to go for it. Do not doubt and do not compare yourself that you're not doing a rebirth plot and think you're doing it wrong. Write the story that you're called to write, period, and do it well, and you'll have it refined, and you'll have beta readers, and you'll have your editing, you'll have all those processes to help you, because you're not alone, to refine your story and make it the best it can be before it's released to the public. Guys, and I mentioned this before, we've had additional training workshops. I encourage you guys to take these workshops. Go to our website, kingdomwritersassociation.com/events, and you'll see the workshops there, and ins and outs of self-publishing, step-by-step publishing with Amazon, children's book writing, and author platform building, and some marketing tips that I have for you. Fantastic workshops are helping a lot of people. We have tons of people signing up for these and going deep into these. And once you have access to the training, you will have continuous access to it, meaning you'll be able to watch it as many times as you need. If you miss anything while the first time you're going through it, or you wanted to rehear a certain part, you can go back and do that. So it's fantastic. Guys, I just want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this workshop. And if any of you feel led to donate to Jill and I, again, this was free, but if any of you feel led to, you can go to kingdomwritersassociation.com, scroll to the very bottom, there's a donate button, and you can donate to KWA, and we're so appreciative. And we highly encourage anyone that's not a KWA member to become a member. $60 for an entire year. And I'm giving you guys a heads up, this is the first for anyone hearing this. The price for KWA membership will be going up for 2021, starting January, to $99 for a year, because there's so much that you get out of KWA being a member. 50% off on workshops, discounts to our retreats, our advances, your marketing for your book on our website, shout outs for what you're doing on our Facebook page, and your own private Facebook page for members only, where we have additional training videos that are free for members. And we're going to have some more fun and great interviews with people coming up for members. And we have a big announcement for that coming up very soon. For Jill and I are very excited to announce somebody coming that's going to speak to our KWA members only. So I encourage you, become a member for $60, and before the price goes up in January for $99. And we're so thankful to be here with you guys. We love you. We're here for you. Email me, braewyckoff@gmail.com, if you have questions. I can also personally coach you on anything that you have going on. I've been doing coaching sessions all week, and for weeks coming. I've got more people signed up to have coaching done. So just email me, find out what you need, and then we can set something up. And I'm here to champion you guys in your writing career, where at KWA, writing is not a hobby. It is a calling, and we cannot stop to answer that calling, guys. We have to write and reach people and bring hope to this world. And we love you guys so much, and we'll see you soon. All right, let me stop the share. And I love you guys. Be blessed. Have a great weekend.